Kuzampo, you're watching Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Pupkam. These are our top stories from the past 7 days. His Majesty the King grants audience to Golden Youth Award participants. Prime Minister Modi commits to consider request for economic stimulus program and step up support for Bhutan's 13th five-year plan. And special bench slaps 21-year imprisonment on Pajanidope. His Majesty the King granted an audience to the participants of the 16th Golden Youth Award Camp on 21st March. 80 students, 4 each nominated from 20 districts, are participating in the ongoing Golden Youth Award Camp, which began on Sunday. The highly successful Golden Youth Award Camp is an initiative of Her Majesty Queen Mother Sringpem Wangchuk and is coordinated by the Youth Development Fund. Each year, the recipient of the Golden Youth Award receives a scholarship to study in any United World colleges across the globe. Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated India's commitment to accelerate support for Bhutan's 13th five-year plan. He also committed to consider Bhutan's request for the economic stimulus program. This is according to a joint statement issued by the two nations in connection with Prime Minister Sringtopge's official visit to India. India also committed to support Bhutan in energy, space technology, connectivity and education sectors, among others.
The joint statement says India's development assistance will be geared towards the development of infrastructure, enhancing connectivity through road, rail, air and digital connectivity, and in sectors like agriculture, healthcare, education, skilling, and cultural preservation. During the bilateral meeting between the two prime ministers on Thursday, Prime Minister Modi expressed appreciation for His Majesty's vision of the Gelifu Mindfulness City, which will stimulate development in Bhutan and in the region in a sustainable manner and enhance economic and investment linkages between the two nations, the joint statement stated. Both the Prime Ministers committed to expand hydropower cooperation and expedite consultations on implementation modalities for new projects. The two sides expressed satisfaction with the progress of Panasangchu 2 hydropower project and looked forward to its commissioning in 2024. They noted with satisfaction the progress made towards finding a technically safe and cost-effective way forward on the Panasangchu 1 hydropower project. Both the Prime Ministers also agreed to expand energy partnership to solar and wind as well as green initiatives, besides energy efficiency and conservation measures. Both the sides welcomed the signing of the MOU on the concessionary financing of 15 billion rupees to Bhutan for Gelsung, Bhutan's national service program initiated by His Majesty the King. The Prime Ministers welcomed the development of the joint plan of action on space cooperation and also reaffirmed their desire to continue strengthening the positive collaboration in new and emerging areas such as digital technology, startups, and STEM. Both sides also agreed to strengthen and consolidate ties in the field of youth and sports development and expand partnership in the education sector. On behalf of His Majesty the King, Prime Minister Sringtopge extended an invitation to Prime Minister Modi to visit Bhutan at an early date. Prime Minister Modi accepted the invitation according to the joint statement. Recalling His Majesty's official visits to India last year, both sides reaffirmed their resolve to further strengthen the long-standing and exceptional bilateral ties that exist between the two countries. This morning, before leaving for Mumbai, Prime Minister Sringtopge graced the India Today conclave as a distinguished speaker in New Delhi. Following the event, Prime Minister Sringtopge and his delegation arrived in Mumbai this afternoon. He then participated in a tourism event organized by the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, which is aimed to foster collaboration and explore avenues for mutual growth in the tourism sector. Subsequently, Prime Minister Sringtopge and his delegation proceeded to Raj Bhavan, the official residence of the Governor of Maharashtra, and met with the Governor. Tomorrow, the Prime Minister will meet with prominent businessmen to cement economic ties between the two nations. The Prime Minister will return to the country on Monday. For Karma Samdewanda in Mumbai, This is Kipchu for BVS News.
The number of tigers in the country has increased over the years, and so has the human-wildlife conflict with the predator. However, against the imminent dangers of the big cats to residents and livestock, the Vanishing Treasures program has been promoting coexistence with the animal. In Nubi Gewog of Tongsa, the program has developed pasture land to foster harmony with tigers, and according to the villagers, it has helped mitigate human-wildlife conflict in the Gewog.
The Vanishing Treasures program under the United Nations for Environment program, UNEP, has developed around 100 acres of land into pasture lands in Nubi Gewog. Among the two pasture lands, the largest is in Jongthang village, spanning around 55 acres. The other one is in Semji with around 45 acres. The pasture lands have lakes, streams and water holes and are enclosed with electric fencing. The villagers allow the cattle to freely graze in these pasture lands without having to worry about the livestock being preyed upon by tigers. In the past, when farmers let loose the cattle in the open, they lost around 3 to 4 cattle to tigers in a day.
After that, the harm to our cattle in the village was reduced. In the past, if our cattle crossed the mountain, which we called the graveyard of cattle, we did not know whether our cattle would return or not. Nowadays, after fencing the area, it has been convenient as our cattle has no way out and the animals from the outside cannot get inside.
In the past, one member of the family always had to go after cattle. After the development of the pasture land, we send our cattle to graze in the pasture land and lock it, fearing the tigers. So it is convenient for us wherever we go.
According to the report from the Department of Forests and Park Services in Tongsa, around 580 cattle were lost to tigers in the past 5 years. The report showed that Nubi Gewog alone lost about 360 cattle to tigers. The farmers say the pasture lands also have helped protect the cattle from other predators such as leopards and wild dogs. Developing pasture land was part of Vanishing Treasures project Phase 1. It started in 2019 and will end in June this year. Under Phase 1, the villagers were also provided with power tillers and compensation schemes.
Cattle, including cow and oxen, were killed by tigers. Since people here primarily depend on agriculture, the project has also given 5 power tillers in 5 chiwoks here, and it has benefited a lot.
We have done certain community-based interventions, given electric fencing to the villagers in places where we have a lot of human-wildlife conflict. They have been able to harvest a lot of crops as compared to the earlier times, and we have also helped them develop pastures for their livestock.
While the farmers are grateful for the intervention and changes that have come from the project, fear lingers among the people as they live alongside the tigers.
Once a child from our village saw 3 tigers just next to the electric fencing. They were sleeping there. Just before he could even take a picture, he said the tigers walked away. Later he realized what would have happened to him if the tigers had attacked him.
The villagers said that the movements of people in the night have also reduced over time. The National Tiger Survey Report 2023 showed that the number of tigers in the country increased from 103 in 2015 to 131. The head of Biodiversity and Land at UNEP said, although it is considered a success as the tiger population stabilizes in the country, she said it will be difficult to coexist with the predators.
We know that's not always easy. Tigers prey on livestock, tigers create problems as well as solve solutions for the ecosystem. So our successes have been on things like our investment in protecting pastures and rangelands to reduce the human-wildlife conflict.
We will also need to think about the habitat, which is the forest, the land that is around the people. So when you protect these big cats like tigers, automatically we are also thinking about how best we can make sure that the people that are living with these tigers also benefit, and then the habitat where these animals and where these people live are also like pristine and are well taken care of.
Since the two pilot pasturelands in Nubi have helped human-wildlife conflict, the Vanishing Treasures program under Phase 2 will be initiating more activities. The project is carried out with the support from Bhutan Tiger Center, Bhutan for Life, and the Department of Forest and Park Services. Devika Pradhan for BBS News.
The Shemgang District Administration's alleged lack of consultation with the elected local leaders over decision-making processes sparked a lengthy, heated debate in the recent Songkok-Sokdo. Local government leaders claim that they are elected representatives and should have a say in any decision-making process. They argued that the district often takes decisions without consulting or considering their perspectives, allegations which the district has denied.
The local leaders expressed their unhappiness, citing neglect and failure to understand the reasons for the lack of communication and collaboration. They argued that cooperation and consultation are essential to effectively serve the people of Shemgang.
I have never seen consultations being carried out. Most works are decided and carried out without our knowledge, and sometimes we don't even find out even when the work has been completed. The local government act clearly states that whether it is the district, Dungkhak, or any other agencies, all work should be done in consultation with the relevant local leaders.
We have reached a point in Chemgang where it is questionable whether we even need a local government. Nobody listened to us. If the current local government continues to operate in this manner, it will set a precedent that will affect future local governments. The rules of the procedures must be followed, including consultation with us. If we cannot cooperate and trust each other, we risk losing respect and ultimately failing to address the poverty issues in Chemgang.
The Nangkor Gub added that if the rules and regulations of the local government are properly followed, it will benefit both the present and the future of Shemgang.
In the past, I have witnessed consultations being conducted during financial closing and many other development activities. However, this time, we do not see such consultations happening. I feel that local governments are neglected and excluded from important discussions. Later, when something goes wrong, we are held responsible for the failure. From now on, we should ensure thorough consultation and coordination to improve the situation.
However, the Shemgang District Administration said they have followed the necessary protocols and procedures. The district also added that they are open to improving coordination and communication with the LG leaders to avoid any misunderstandings. The district also said they will hold a separate meeting to address the issue.
We have no doubts about it. We submit plans to DT when they are being drafted, including all the necessary details. At the time, they have nothing to say. Such questions are being raised for personal gain.
Some observers of the Dzongkhag-Tsogdo said that criticisms from the local government leaders appeared to be purely personal in nature. Additionally, these observers said that the Dzongkhag-Tsogdo failed to maintain decorum within the house. The 4th Shemgang Dzongkhag-Tsogdo of the 3rd local government was convened on the 7th of March. For Pema Samdrup in Shemgang, this is Sharab Doji, BBS News.
In Samdrup Jonkar, although a new Gomdra Gewag administration office has been constructed at Koyer, the office has yet to relocate. Despite completing the construction 7 months ago, disagreement among villagers has put a hold on the move. The new office was constructed after the old office was buried by a landslide in 2020, forcing the administration to operate from the Gewog guest house.
The new 12 millennium Geok office remains empty today. The new office is located 10 kilometers away from the current Geok Center in Sanchilu. Residents say since the bank, school and hospitals are in Sanchilu, it will be inconvenient for them if the Geok office is in Koya.
Here, villagers can go to the hospital and meet their children in school while visiting the Gewok Center. It will be convenient if the office is here. It won't be much of a problem for people living nearby, but for people from far-flung places, it will be difficult.
It is convenient at the current location as the new location is located far away.
We would be happy if we keep the Gyok Center here at the current location. Otherwise, we have to walk for around 2 hours, or else we have to reserve a car, which would cost us around 2,000 Newton.
People also added that they are reluctant about relocation because the former local leader did not do proper public consultation and that they were not aware of the relocation. However, the former GUP told BBS that all the formalities were carried out to relocate the Gyok Center in Khoyar. The Gyok administration also had reports of the former GUP consulting people on relocation. Since the construction of the new Gomdar Gyok administration office incurred huge budget, some of the villagers say that the Gyok office is wasting government resources by not moving to the unoccupied office.
The government has spent a huge amount to construct the office here, and the Gewok Center has still not relocated. We do not know what the problem is.
If they keep the office unoccupied, there will be damage. Since the infrastructure is complete, I think it is wise to move here.
I do not know why they are not moving here. The office is complete, and if it is left unoccupied for a long time, it will get damaged.
The matter was also discussed yesterday at the Zongkak Tsokdu. The Gomdar GUP requested the Zongkak Tsokdu to allow the villagers to vote on whether they wanted to relocate the Gyok Center or not.
The new Gewok office is complete, and it has been around 7 months, and we still could not move to the new office. That is because people have been complaining a lot. Moreover, the new office does not have furniture and office equipment.
However, the GUP's request was turned down since the new structure was constructed as a Gyok office. The House ordered the district administration to write to the Gomdar Gyok administration to relocate the Gyok Center to Khoyar. For Kiloancho in Samdrup Jonkar, this is Sangeeta Zom for BBS News.
The time-bound bench of the judiciary has sentenced Pajunyadup to more than 21 years in prison for bribery, deceptive practices and forgery, among others. The bench passed 17 criminal case judgments involving the 38-year-old man from Paro on 15th March after a 2-day proceeding. The bench was established in September 2022 following an executive order by the Chief Justice to deliver judgments effectively recognizing the interlinked nature of most cases.
Pajunyadup was sentenced to almost 9 years for bribery, about 3 years for deceptive practices, nearly 5 years for forgery, more than 2 years for tampering with documents, and 1.5 years for solicitation. However, according to the Media and Communication Unit of the Judiciary, out of the total sentence, almost 15.5 years prison term will be considered a felony, while the rest will be subject to trimthi. The Anti-Corruption Commission's investigation found that Pajunyadup obtained 102 OD loans and transport loans from various banks between 2016 and 2019, amounting to more than 785 million Newton, with 82 of these loans turning into non-performing loans in 2022. Thereafter, investigations were carried out by the agencies concerned. 49 individuals, including bank officials, civil servants, and private businesses, have been sentenced in connection with Pajunyadup's cases yesterday. 2 officials of the Pinsuling Tromde, Diki, and Chimilhadan were sentenced to prison terms ranging from 3 to 5 years for bribery, abuse of functions, and tampering with documents. Further, 2 officials of Pinsuling Dungkak, Sonam Rabge and Lhamodema were sentenced to more than 2 years respectively. They will have to restitute 20,000 ngultam each to the state for bribery and abuse of functions. 3 officials of the National Land Commission, Damchilhendup, Rinchendoji and Tsetendoji, were given prison terms ranging from 1.5 years and almost 3 years for bribery, abuse of functions and solicitation. 2 police officials, Thukten Chezang and Karmatile, were given sentences ranging between more than 2 and almost 5 years for bribery, tampering with documents, offense related to witness, and abuse of functions. They will have to restitute 360,000 and 231,900 ngutam respectively. Likewise, among 2 officials of the erstwhile Road Safety and Transport Authority implicated, Nado was sentenced to more than 8 years, of which 3.5 years is a felony and the rest will be subject to trimthi. He was convicted of bribery and abuse of function, while Nitra Prasad Karki, who was initially charged for tampering with public records, was acquitted with an instruction to take administrative actions by the agency. 2 employees of the Royal Insurance Corporation of Bhutan, Netin Siring and Sonam Darge, were sentenced to 1 year and 1.5 years respectively for abuse of functions. Meanwhile, 9 employees of the Druk Punjab Bank, former CEO Devendra Kumar Gupta, Deputy CEO Ash Badur Rai, Arun Puttusiri, Yönten Doji, Tilakchan Gimri, Sharab Gelsen, Thoji Sangpo, Kezang Punso, and Tsiring were given imprisonment terms ranging from 1 year to 3 years for mostly being involved in abuse of functions. Similarly, 6 employees of the Bank of Bhutan, Tashi Tenzin, Dojuanchu, Til Badur Gurung, Karma Yezer, Kezang Tashi, and Tek Badur Tiwari will have to serve prison terms ranging between 1 year to almost 7 years for bribery, official misconduct, and abuse of functions. Similarly, 2 employees of the Bhutan National Bank, Lobzang Nyima and Kiledoji, were sentenced to more than 4 years for bribery and abuse of functions. Meanwhile, 2 employees of Bhutan Development Bank Limited, Tandin Doji and Yishe K. Tsiring, were sentenced to more than 2 years for bribery and abuse of functions. An employee of T Bank, Ashok Subba, was sentenced to more than a year for official misconduct. 4 employees of Simbi Motors, Sangye Rabden, Sanjeev Nirola, Sagar Gurung and Sangye Yönten were given sentences ranging from 1 year to 4 years for cases primarily involving forgery. 12 private individuals, Dawa Zangpo, Leki Khandu, Raju Apriti, Karma Tenzin, Jigmi, Kilewandi, Tsiring Wangel, Choten Doji, Chandra Badur Kale, Leki Doji, Karma Tenzin, Karma Nyudup, and Madan Lama were sentenced to prison terms ranging between more than a month to 3 years for forgery, deceptive practice, aiding and abetting, reporting of false information, bribery, and participating in the offense. Whereas a private individual named Choten Doji was acquitted of fraudulent check writing. The time-bound bench saw 104 cases concerning Pajur Nyudup in the period of more than a year. However, the rendering of judgments in Pajur Nyudup's civil cases has been temporarily suspended as criminal elements appeared to be involved in nearly all civil matters. According to the judiciary, the hearing of civil cases, including loan cases involving Pajur Nyudup and others, will be resuming soon following the completion of the judgments in the criminal cases. The civil judgments will focus on recoveries of the amount. Meanwhile, the parties involved who are dissatisfied with the judgment from the time-bound bench can appeal to the High Court. Kinzang Haden, BBS News.
The High Court, in a judgment on 19th March, asked Kunfen Motors, a vehicle dealership, to pay 15,000 ngutam each to 5 EV taxi drivers of the MG ZS model. Kunfen Motors has to pay the amount in a month. In another judgment regarding drivers of the Neta EV model, the High Court upheld the Thimphu District Court's judgment and found Kunfen Motors not liable to pay any compensation.
Earlier last year, around 55 electric vehicle taxi drivers filed a complaint with the Competition and Consumers Affairs Authority or CCAA against Kunfen Motors for mileage and missing feature issues concerning the MG ZS and Neta electric vehicle models sold by the dealership. The authority instructed Kunfen Motors to pay the aggrieved drivers 30,000 ngutam each. Dissatisfied with the outcome, the drivers took Kinfen Motors to the Thimphu District Court. In a reversal of the authority's decision, the District Court found Kinfen Motors not liable to pay the 30,000 yutam for both EV cars. The District Court judgment cited drivers not complaining within a reasonable time frame and that relevant authorities and experts from Kinfen Motors made drivers aware of possible impact of Bhutan's geographical and weather conditions on the car's battery performance. The case then reached the High Court. The High Court today partially reversed the Thimphu District Court's judgment and asked Kinfen Motors to pay 15,000 yutam to 5 MG ZS model drivers. As for Neta model drivers, where mileage range was the issue, apart from upholding the District Court's judgment, the 35 drivers have been instructed to pay an appeal cost of 3,750 yutam to Kinfen Motors. All parties have 10 working days to appeal to the Supreme Court. For Samtin Dolkar, this is Kipchu for BVS News.
That's all we have for this week. Thank you for joining us.